we are very proud to have on this call with us is Angie Nixon, who is Higher Education Director for SEIU, Florida Public Services, and also a newly elected Florida House Representative.
All right, just getting everything together. So, good afternoon, everyone. First, let me start by thanking the Florida Policy Institute for their important work on behalf of Florida's families and showing all those who rely on public services in our state that budgets are all about our priorities. Having been a single mom for 13 years, I know firsthand budgets are really all about priorities. If you look at the proposals we're sending back to Tallahassee today, you'll find more than $4.5 billion in revenue that won't put a single family out of work. It won't shut down a single school or leave any resident without access to the services that ensure that our health, our safety, and our quality of life. If you were here with us last year, the fact that we're having this conversation about funding essential services may seem kind of odd, right? And so, it's hard to believe that after all we've been through together, we would even need to stand here or sit here today and tell anyone how important it is that we invest in our schools, that we invest in hospitals, and that we invest in frontline essential workers, or that we can't afford to cut funding for our first responders and the educators that saw us through the hardest times of this pandemic. Being a COVID survivor early on while I was pregnant and having a child in school, I know the importance of these workers. And it's such a shame that we have to have this conversation. But the reality in Florida is that many of our leaders are more than prepared to look at our current budget gap as an opportunity to cut services, to threaten jobs, and raid public investments into education, safety, transportation, and healthcare. And all the while, they'll argue that Florida's families should pay for the cost of lavish corporate tax cuts, which we're told any day are going to create hundreds of thousands of good-paying jobs. Well, clearly the facts tell us differently. They aren't creating any jobs. And if they do, they aren't paying living wages. Our experiences have shown us the short-sightedness of these policies. And our sense of community tells us that we can do better as a people as well as do better as a state. As we look towards hope on the horizon and finally coming out of this crisis, we can't turn our backs on all those who have risked their lives. And I want to say that again. We cannot turn our backs on all those who have risked their lives to stand with us and all those who will still need our help. If there's one thing that we can't deny after living through this pandemic, is that we need more investment in our essential services, not less. I rode the elevator just the other day with one of the Capitol's custodians, janitors, environmental service workers, whatever you want to call them, and I thanked her. I thanked her for her service. Look, going from one child to now 5, because I'm blending a family, I know just how hard it is to clean up a house full of 7 people. So can you put yourself in their shoes and really imagine what it's like cleaning up buildings, schools, and hospitals, and making sure that they're disinfected, all the while putting themselves at risk while they do so. Look, we have tried it their way before. We've given tax breaks and austerity measures plenty of time to prove successful, but they didn't work then and they will not work now. These unprecedented times call for compassionate leadership. I mean, compassionate leadership in Tallahassee. All of us must rise to the challenge that we are called to in this historic moment, and it really is historic. It's time for a fresh start with new ideas that put people first and not corporations. Our children are watching us. Let's put an end to this tired debate and do what we all know needs to be done. Let's put our money in Florida's families. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Angie. And that is the end of our speaking lineup. Just to note,